Afternoon, everybody. Today is December 17th, 2019. We are here for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the Yuma County. Before I get started, I'm going to read some rules for the public. If you parked in the rear employee gated parking lot, please immediately move your car to the front north parking lot to avoid having your car locked in. There is no public egress from the hallway to the south parking lot. The only public entry to the building is through the north entrance near the auditorium. All access to the DDS building is limited to staff only as security precaution. If you wish to speak at the podium, please sign in at the sign-in sheets at the rear by the table, at the rear door on the table. Before you speak at the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Please address the chairman and do not speak to the audience or staff. If you do have handouts, give them to the commission. Please give to administration to distribute to staff to distribute. If you show information on the overhead projector, please give them to administration staff to become part of the permanent record. Restroom and drinking fountains are down the hallway behind the meeting room. Please feel free to use these facilities as needed. No food or beverage other than water are allowed in this meeting room. All right, all that said, let's go ahead and call this meeting to regular session. Roll call. We have a
Scott Mohan.
Here.
Ron Rice.
Here.
John McKinley.
Here.
Tim Bowers.
Here.
Danny Bryant.
Here.
Matias Rosales.
Present.
Alicia Zermano.
Here.
Gary Black.
Here.
Wayne Eide. Paul White.
Here.
Chairman, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's please stand and pledge allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tight up here when we're all here. All right. Item number 3, Commission Initiative Case number 1901. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Javier Barraza, Senior Planner, presenting Commission Initiative Case Number 19-1. This is a request to rezone a parcel 2.01 gross acres in size from rural area 40-acre minimum to suburban site built 2-acre minimum. The project is located in Dome Valley, Walton Planning Area, in the vicinity of the northwest corner of the alignment of Avenue 37E and Old Highway 80 in Walton, Arizona. The intent is to rezone the subject property to comply with the suburban site built 2-acre minimum for residential development. This is in front of you is the zoning map showing the subject parcel, crosshatched and highlighted. The subject parcel is undeveloped desert terrain. Zone rural area 4-acre minimum. Parcel number 5 to the east is zone RA 40 in desert terrain. Parcel 4 on the north, also in desert terrain, RA 40. Parcels 8 and 7 to the west, same situation, desert terrain, RA 40. And parcel 17 to the south is Union Pacific, zone RA 40. Parcel has physical access along Avenue 37E and easement on the north, 30 feet wide. This is a site plan Exhibit A. Outlined in red is the subject parcel. On the south, there's an 80-foot irrigation easement. On the north, there's a 30-foot public easement per the docket 2004-37697. And in yellow, highlighted in yellow, is the proposed fire apparatus access road easement that is required by the fire code. This is an aerial view showing outlined in red the project site. This is a view looking north at the alignment of Avenue 37E from Old Highway 80. This is a view looking east at the public access easement from the alignment of Avenue 37E. This is a closer look at the same access easement. This is a view looking southwest of the parcel from the northeast corner. View looking west at the irrigation easement on the south from the alignment of Avenue 37E. View looking north at the parcel from the south of Old Highway 80. Staff receipt comes from MCAS and the Walton Mohawk Drainage District in favor of this request or no concerns. No comments from property owners within the zoning area were received. However, staff received a letter in opposition from one property owner and one comment in favor of the request from one owner of 3 parcels on the south. As I mentioned, not within the zoning area. Staff recommends approval of Commission Initiative Case Number 19-01, subject to the following performance conditions. Within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner or agent shall provide the following: an ARS 12-1134 waiver, a recorded infrastructure disclosure statement, a recorded agricultural disclosure statement, a recorded military training route disclosure statement, and a recorded schedule for development disclosure statement. Also, the following is scheduled for development within 1 year of board's approval or prior to development of any part of the parcel, the owner shall establish and record an easement for fire apparatus access per Appendix D, Section D 103.1 of the 2003 International Fire Code as shown on Exhibit A. Also, the owner shall obtain or provide evidence of legal access along Avenue 37E. Mr. Chairman, this concludes this presentation, and the owner is present.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? No? That's it. This time I'll open it up to the public. If anyone from the public wishes to comment for, against, or in general, this will be the time to speak. Okay, no comments from the public. At this time, I will go ahead and entertain a motion.
No, Mr. Chairman, I just do have one question because it's a little bit odd that I've seen ever. Is a commission initiative for this. I don't understand why this is the process. Maybe we'll get an explanation of that.
Mr. Chairman, the property was part of a rezoning back in 2003 with some conditions of approval. Then some people bought those properties unaware of the conditions of approval. At the time of the Board of Supervisors reverted this rezoning back to RA 40, expressed some concerns and wanted to see if there's a way that we could help assist the owners to bring it back to the rezoning that they thought they got when they bought the properties. That's why it was brought as a commission initiative that was approved by this commission, and we brought it back now as a commission initiative for the actual rezoning.
Thank you. That's a little more than I knew.
That was a while back ago, no? When they started?
Sorry?
That was a while back ago, no? When?
That is correct, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
I remember now. Okay. Any further questions? No?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bryant.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend approval of Commission Initiative Case 19-01 as presented by staff.
I'll second that now that I know what it is.
I got a motion by Mr. Bryan, a second by Mr. Black. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4, rezoning case 19-11.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Javier Barraza, Senior Planner, presenting rezoning case number 19-11. This is a request to rezone a parcel of 5.0 gross acres in size from rural area 5-acre minimum to suburban ranch 2-acre minimum located in the Yuma Mesa planning area at 16880 South Avenue A in Yuma, Arizona. The intent is to allow the creation of 2 new parcels. This is the zoning map and vicinity showing the subject parcel, crosshatched and highlighted in red. Property zone RA5. It's access on the east via Avenue A and on the south via County 17th Street. Parcel 31 to the east is zone RA5, developed with the residence and in agriculture. Parcel 23 is zone RA10, developed with a residence and in farm activity. Parcels 4 and 5 are property zone RA10, developed with residences. Parcels 8 and 9 to the west are zone suburban site built 2-acre minimum, improved with site built homes. Parcel number 3 to the south is in citrus, zone RA10. Parcel number 1 to the southeast is zone suburban site built 2-acre minimum, undeveloped. And parcel number 2 further to the southeast is in citrus, zone rural area 10-acre minimum. The northern portion of the parcel is under the 65 decibel noise zone. This is site plan Exhibit A provided by the applicant. Outlined in red is how the applicant intends to develop, to split the parcel. On the north will be like 2 acres approximately. On the southern portion, there's an existing home that will remain the same. On September 4, 2018, the Board of Supervisors approved a special use permit 19-04 for a wireless communication facility that is to be built This is an aerial view showing the subject property outlined in red. This is a view looking northwest of the subject property from the intersection of County 17th Street and Avenue A. View looking northeast of the subject parcel from the southwest corner. View looking west from Avenue A. View looking southwest of the subject property from the northeast corner of the parcel. Staff received comment from Yuma County Airport Authority and MCAS not in favor of this application. Also received one letter in support from a property owner within the zoning area. Staff recommends approval of this request based on the following. This request being within the ranges of identified uses, densities, and intensities of the comprehensive plan, subject to the following performance conditions. Within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner's agent shall provide the following: an IRS 12-1134 waiver, record an infrastructure disclosure statement, record a navigation disclosure statement, record a range disclosure statement, and record a schedule for development disclosure statement. Also, the following is scheduled for development. Within 1 year's board's approval, the property shall be split by means of a land division permit in accordance with Section 507 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance. Also, all lots shall be provided with means of irrigation and access to irrigation water prior to development of any of the existing parcels. The owner applicant will submit a letter from the irrigation district to the Department of Development Services confirming that a satisfactory irrigation system is installed and the individual lots will have access to irrigation water. Mr. Chairman, this concludes this presentation. If
Thank you.
applicant is present.
Any questions from commissioners? At this moment, I'll open it up for the public. If anybody would like to comment for or against or this project. No one? Any questions? Bringing it back to the board then?
Oh,
Oh,
she's
go
gone
ahead.
over.
Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon, Chairman Rosales and members of the commission. I'm Mary Ellen Finch, Marine Corps Air Station Yuma. We have a letter in opposition, and I just have a brief statement as well. We are requesting that the commission deny rezoning case 19-11, which requests the splitting of a parcel zoned rural 5-acre minimum into 2 parcels zoned rural 2-acre minimum. The existing parcel is located partially in the 65 decibel noise and is part of the high noise accident potential zone. Any new residential development in this zone violates the conditions of Arizona Revised Statute 288481, paragraph J, as well as the Yuma County Zoning Ordinance, section 706, which states no new residential development in the 65 to 69 noise zone other than single-family residential, which was zoned and approved on or before December 31st, 2000. In addition, Marine Corps Order 11,010-16 has residential development in the 65 and higher noise contour as incompatible development due to safety and operational concerns. This parcel was recently the subject of a special use permit 19-04 to allow a wireless communication facility in the northern section of the parcel. A communication facility is a compatible use. The requested rezoning and parcel split would leave an existing residence on the new lot, which lies in the southern portion of the parcel and outside the noise contours, and that would be a compatible use. So the existing residence would become a compatible use. The requester has indicated to planning staff in writing that their intent is to build a residence which would be fully within the 65 noise contour and thus subject to the ARS and the Yuma County zoning ordinance. I'd like also to note that the surrounding parcels that are identified in the case map were either built prior to 2000 or have residences built outside the noise contour, even though their parcel might partially be within the contour. The one additional parcel, 31, is considered an agricultural residence, which is an accepted ancillary use. Our primary concerns, as we've stated before, are the safety of the community and the continuation of our operational mission. We continue to thank you for the opportunity to comment, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? None? Okay, thank you. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, just a little bit of clarification. You know, we have cases like this quite often, very similar. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr.
As far
Chairman.
as this 65? And the general thought, well, what's one more gonna hurt? Maggie, do you have any idea how many of these parcels will ever come up in our jurisdiction? I mean, to act on things like all the zoning that's out there.
Mr. Chairman, I do not have an acreage or number of parcels that have yet to be rezoned that are within the 65 decibel noise zone. There are parcels that are still zoned RA, which could potentially be rezoned to 2-acre minimum. This area is within the old joint land use plan area. The joint land use plan, as well as the 2020 comprehensive plan, allow for 2-acre minimum parcel sizes within the 65 decibel noise zone for residential development. So the request is within the range of identified densities, uses, and intensities of the comprehensive plan. This request does not trigger a major amendment. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the request.
I was wondering.
Can I ask a question of staff, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Bryant, go first.
If I recall, we dealt with one similar to this just a few meetings ago that went to the Board of Supervisors, and we had recommended approval, and then the board denied the request. That wasn't increasing density. The homes were already built in the board, and they were just asking to divide the parcels.
The major amendment that Fernando presented? The major amendment?
Is that an accurate remembrance on my part?
Mr. Chairman, we did have a request recently to rezone a 5-acre parcel from RA5 to, I believe it was SSB2. The request was approved by the Board of Supervisors. In that case, I believe that MCAS also recommended denial. We had a special use permit that was denied by the Board of Supervisors recently for a second dwelling unit. And then recently, the board took action on a major amendment to change the land use designation for a parcel located in the northwest corner of County 13th Street and Avenue B to rural density residential. That request was denied. Therefore, a rezoning case will not be coming forward to rezone those properties. In that case, for the major amendment, they needed an amendment to the comprehensive plan before the rezoning case could proceed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you know, I see this, I live right by this site, so I know it, I'm very well aware of the property. And it is within that 2-acre minimum, being that said, and basically, I think the use is honestly for the tower. I don't know about any building going on there. That's the first I'd heard about that. But they do have the right, the way it's set up right now. And there are a lot of 2-acre houses in that area. So with that being said, I would make a recommendation for approval of this request.
Second.
So is that a motion or recommendation? Motion? I have a motion. I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5, discussion concerning possible text amendment to Yuma County zoning ordinance.
Thank you, Chairman Rosales, members of the commission. Juan Leal Rubio, Senior Planner with the Planning and Zoning Division. This is actually a pretty good case concerning increasing density in the high noise zones because this discussion item is for a possible text amendment to the Yuma County zoning ordinance to consider adding a new zoning district that would limit the opportunity for people to apply for special use permits for accessory dwellings in properties that are in the noise zone. So over the last year or so, both the board and Marine Corps Air Station, they left already, They expressed some concern regarding the increase in density with the allowance of accessory dwelling units on properties located within the noise zones. And with that in mind, back in October, the board actually asked staff to look into the possibility of creating a new zoning district that would prohibit the construction of accessory dwelling units in properties located in the noise zone, and that's why we're here. So the memo that you have in front of you shows what staff is intending. If you look over the memo, the first thing that you'll see is the elimination of guest rooms from the definitions. And that the intent of that is to get rid of something that should have happened some years back, when there were some changes to the ordinance that when the board adopted accessory dwelling units, we got rid of the definition of guest quarters, because that was only creating more confusion among staff and building permits that came in. So we're getting rid of guest rooms because of that. And then you'll see that we're adding the suburban homestead throughout the ordinance under the, we're adding it as a residential district. Then under section 501, we're creating 6 different suburban homesteads from 20-acre minimum down to 2-acre minimum. And we're calling those suburban homestead, 20-acre minimum parcels, and then all the way down to 2-acre minimum. And then if you look down, section 505.01, you'll see that we're adding it also to be in par with the rural area, suburban ranch, suburban site build, and the suburban homestead now, to ensure that the gross acreage, which includes gross acres, will be added to the minimum parcel size requirements, minimum area requirements. And then section 624 is excuse me, the new suburban homestead wording that would be added to the ordinance. The difference between this and the other zoning districts that are similar to this is that this one here, again, would not have a provision that would allow people to apply for a special use permit for accessory dwelling units. So you'll see that everything's similar to the other districts with the exception of that. Then we also added under section 6204.07, we added a suburban homestead. We're intending to add suburban homestead. And then also under cargo containers, we're including that in there to be in par with the suburban ranch and suburban site build zoning districts. And that is what I have for you tonight. If you have any questions, we're ready to entertain any questions.
Questions from the commissioners?
How much of this would fall under being grandfathered into what's already out there? Anything, or is this going to completely change everything?
Chairman Rosales, Commissioner McKinley, this is not a grandfathered type of question. This would be for any property owners that wish to rezone their properties within the noise zones. We would highly recommend that they apply for this type of zoning, or we would probably make a favorable recommendation if they do, versus the SR or the SSB that would allow, continue allowing accessory dwelling units for properties in the noise zone. And the reason is because, again, the expressed concern by the board and the Marine Corps Station, because they feel that the accessory dwelling units are actually increasing density in the noise zones.
Yes, Mr. Bryant.
So if I understand what the intent is this rezoning that we just dealt with tonight, you would have suggested that go into this district, and at least the Marine Corps Air Station would have been assured there would only be one more residence, not a residence plus a mother-in-law quarters built in the back.
That is,
So we'd have possibility of 2 residences there instead of 4 now, based on the zoning action that we recommended.
that would be a perfect example of when we would recommend a suburban homestead type of zoning.
This case
That
scenario
property
would
there, yes.
give some relief to the Marine Corps Air Station.
Correct.
All right, we're going to let these folks do another residence, but we're going to take away the possibility they could ask to do 2 more accessory dwelling
Correct.
units. So over a period of time, that would start to make a big difference in perhaps the number of these cases that we're dealing with.
Mr. Chairman, that's, I guess, I don't know, maybe I didn't wordsmith it very well. If I have property out there and wanted to do what we just did tonight, after this takes place, then that's off the table.
No, Chairman Rosales, Commissioner McKinley, ultimately, the property owner has a right to apply for any zoning they want. When we do the analysis, when we do the review, and even when we present to the board might say, well, why didn't you apply for a suburban homestead? Because you know that we are concerned about increasing density in the noise zone. That's why we created this new zoning district. So the board could deny it and say, go and apply for a suburban homestead, and we'll support the suburban homestead. So the owner can apply for anything. Maybe staff and the board will be more inclined, and maybe the commissioners, more inclined to recommend approval of zoning districts, of this type of zoning district in properties that are in the noise zone.
So again, to just carry it through to make sure I understand, if these folks had come in and we had suburban homestead in place, more than likely, you would have recommended that they not be able to obtain the suburban site-built zoning they asked for. You would want them to do the suburban homestead version of that. And then our approval would then, recommendation would tell the Board of Supervisors, we agree with staff, we want to limit and make sure there's only 2 residences there and not 4.
Correct.
Mr.
Over a
Chairman?
period of time, it would take some pressure off of those special permits or those second dwelling units.
Yeah, the goal ultimately is to, see the impact over a period of time. And hopefully, the Marine Corps Air Station would be supportive of this type of zoning.
Bet.
Mr. Chairman, staff would make a recommendation to a property owner wanting to apply for a rezoning of their property. Staff can't force them to apply for this new zoning district. Staff is going to make a favorable recommendation of either zoning district, SSB or suburban homestead, because as long as they're within the range of identified densities or the densities that are identified in the comprehensive plan, the request is in compliance and staff would be making a favorable recommendation. When it goes to the board may then may base their decision of whether to approve or deny a request on the specific zoning district that a property owner is requesting. But staff does a technical analysis based on
The pressure is not going to
sound
start with
planning
you.
practices.
You're going to let the board bear all of that burden. I don't blame you, I would.
We review cases based on sound planning practices.
So if I'm understanding this right, I think I'm not understanding this right. So Commissioner Brown, what you're saying, so this case that just went by right now, basically, if they would have done the suburban homestead district, they're saying, okay, we want to split it, we might build another house, but that's it, we're not going to come back later on and ask for a secondary unit or something. That's where you get the 2 to 4. So basically, they're pre-agreeing, okay, I'm only planning to do one.
If they go into this zoning category, they would not have the option of applying for a special use permit to do a second dwelling unit.
To do a second dwelling, or how does those cargo containers fall in place there? That's just storage, or how does that? That's a whole different issue.
You mean Chairman Rosales, the proposed text amendment to
Yeah,
car
adding on
containers?
to that, yeah.
Car containers are allowed in the suburban ranch and suburban site-built type zoning district. So since the suburban homestead is something similar to that, the only exception or limitation is not allowing accessory dwelling units. So we decided to add it here also in the car container because they should be allowed also in that type of zoning.
So the only conflict I see down the road would be person A did this and did it through the suburban homestead. Okay, I agree, I'm not going to do this. They sell the property. New owner needs to make sure when they come in here, right off the bat, you can't because this was done in a suburban district. No accessory dwelling will be allowed. It stops it there. It won't give them the option to go through the process of
That is
applying.
correct.
If they want to, okay. All right. I get you. I think I got it now. That's their choice.
So the county don't have, or the chairman, or the Planning and Zoning Commission doesn't have an opportunity to do a commission initiative to rezone properties against the owner's request and take them into this new category. I mean, there's no threat to people who already have a certain zoning category that this is going to become their zoning.
Yeah, staff is not intending to go back and request commission initiatives to rezone properties that are already zoned 2-acre minimum.
But you could if you wanted to.
No, Mr. Chairman,
couldn't,
this
okay.
request is simply to amend the zoning ordinance to add a new zoning district.
Mm-hmm.
Staff will not
With
be
the
bringing cases forward to rezone specific properties to the zoning district. That, before staff does that, we need the property owner's signature. So the only time that somebody would be requesting this is when they approach the county or staff about options to rezone their property. This is one of the options.
And
Further questions?
no.
Hearing
not
none?
too-
Do I have that motion? Before you think some more.
My knee hurts.
Any further questions to staff between us? Anyone have a motion?
The proper motion would be to authorize staff to proceed, or to, what would we be actually doing?
Mr. Chairman, the motion would be to forward the draft language to the Board of Supervisors for their review. If the board agrees with the language, staff will be bringing it back to the Planning and Zoning Commission to initiate a commission initiative.
That's what I was going to say.
Whatever it is, that's what you want.
Is that what you was going,
Nice.
is that what you was going to second?
Yes, I second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second to move this forward. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any confused? All right, motion passes.
Get the paperwork.
Item number 6, approval of planning and zoning meetings of December 3rd, 2019.
Move to approve.
Second.
That normally first. How did we get to number 6 on that part? Okay, got a motion. Any discussion? Got a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right. Discussion by the commission members, planning and directors of events attended, current events, and scheduled for future planning commission meetings. Any questions? Anything to comment about? Anyone attend any parades? No? All right. Hearing none. Motion to adjourn.
See if they approved it.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.